Hi, my name's Brandon. I'm the developer of VectorMathPlayground.com. Today I want to show you a few new features that I've recently added that will help when doing various activities within this program. So recently I've added a command console. There's two ways to access it. So if you're on mobile devices, you can go to Menu, and then you can go down to Commands, and then you can go to the Show Terminal, and then you can open it from there. You can also close. Likewise, if you're on a desktop or a laptop, you can simply hit your tilde key like you would to bring up a console in like a first-person shooter game. So it looks like that. And you can just toggle it that way. So a couple of things that I've been working on is I've been adding more commands, and I plan on adding a lot more in the future, but to start with, if you want to know what's available, you can just follow the instructions at the top there and type help, and you'll see that it's suggested you try the command list commands that will show you all of the commands you're available to use through the terminal. So if we do that, we'll see that we have quite a few commands to play with. For each of these commands, they accept different arguments, and if you want to learn more about that, what you can do is you can just type in help, and then you can type in the name of the command. So for example, let's see here, we've got this create random vector here. So if I want to know more about how to use that command, I can just type in create random vector and hit enter, and here it's going to tell me all about the commands, and it will also provide example usage on how to use it. So let's give it a shot. We're going to type in create random vector, and let's create 10, max length 1, let's normalize it. The render mode. So the render mode is actually pretty cool. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to change how the vectors are rendered. So they can be points, they can be dashed lines, they can be they can take the form of a vector, etc. Again, all of those different options are listed right here. I do plan on adding more render modes in the future. I'm actually planning on adding like characters and things like that, so if you wanted to kind of prototype gameplay mechanics, you could do that in this tool. But for now, let's just stick with vector and then hit enter, and then boom, we've got our random vectors. Now another thing that's pretty cool is I've been adding some helpful functionality to the console, so you can just hit the up arrow on your keyboard if you want to repeat the same command just like you would in a normal console, or you can go through all of your history. You can list commands again like that. So that's pretty helpful. Let's reset the scene. And let's try something out here. So let's go ahead and add two vectors together. So what's really cool about this is you can just reference the names of the different vectors. And if you don't know what the names are, you can create them yourselves, but they're all available through the vector properties menu. So you can see the name of each of the vectors in the scene here, and you can always go here, change it, update, etc. With that, you can also change the different render modes and whatnot. But when we're referencing vectors through command line, we just use their names. So here we can add the up vector with the forward vector, and then we have this new vector. It's the half vector between the two. We can normalize that vector, but oh wait, what name should we use for this vector? Because Vector Math Playground just created it for us. So there's a couple ways you can do this. So one of the commands available to us is that we can just list all the vectors in the scene. So we can do this, And we can see that Vector Math Playground will automatically create results for us, and it will increment the index. In this case it's 0, but the next thing that we create, it'll set it to 1. So for example, if I were to subtract let's say I was to subtract, forward from the up. So that gives us this vector down here. And if we list the vectors in the scene, we'll see that now there is a result 1, right? But that can kind of be inconvenient each time to remember the order and type out the full name, So what we can do instead is something like this. So we can go ahead and add those vectors again. All right, and this time I can use a shortcut. Let's say I want to normalize this vector, but I don't know off the top of my head what its name is. And I also don't want to go through listing the vectors and trying to find it and all like that. What I can do instead is I can simply say normalize the vector, and for the name I can just put a $sign in. And what this will do is this $sign represents whatever the last created vector was. And you can actually index it, so you can go further back. So I'll show you an example of that. Let's go ahead and project this vector onto the up vector. All right, so we have our up vector, but this time the $sign would refer to this vector here. But what I want to do is I want to scale this vector. So what I will do is scale vector $sign -1, and then let's scale it by 2. Look at that. So you can see by using the shortcut you can easily access different vectors and manipulate them in that way. So in this case, let's say I want to go back to scaling this one. Well, this is now the $sign, so this one would be the $sign -1. So if we do scale vector $sign -1, 2.0, and then I'm going to subtract these two. So I can do something like subtract vector $-1 $sign, because I want the vector to go from here to here. And now I want to translate this vector that it created at the origin up here, because I want to show this as being a vector from this point to this point. So I can do translate vector to point, and then I can say the last vector we created, which is this one down here, to the previous vector that we created, which was here. And voila, we have a vector from here to here. And now if I wanted to change the render mode of this particular vector, I can always go up to menu, go to vector properties. It's the last one that was created. I can come down here to render mode, change this to a dashed line, update. So now I have a different way of visualizing that particular vector. Again, all of this works on mobile web browsers as well. So if you have a phone, or if you're at your desktop, or you have a laptop, whatever, feel free to play around with vector math through the Vector Math Playground website. All right, that's all I have for you for today. I will update you later on as to whatever new features I add. All right, thank you, and thanks for watching.